Hi, my name is Anne Russell. I'm the founder of the Russell Family Fetal Alcohol Disorders Association. I've been asked to put up another presentation on YouTube about strategies that might help parents and carers and children and teenagers. The strategies that I used when my children were young children aren't really appropriate at this point, simply because I wasn't aware that they had the condition. So the strategies that I used were left a lot to be desired. They really made things a lot worse for my children and for my family, because I was trying normal parenting techniques. And normal parenting techniques don't work for children and adults and teenagers with FASD. So what I've learnt since then, I will talk about, because they are the strategies that need to be used. The first one is very important, and that's supervision. 24/7 if possible, but we all know how difficult that is. We've got to sleep some point, but that's the thing that most people say about children and teenagers with FASD. They need to have 24/7 supervision. So I guess by knowing that that's what they require, there might be things that you could put into place that is going to provide that, even though that's not always possible. The second thing is attitude, and it's the attitude of other people. It needs to be recognised that FASD is an organic brain injury, and as such the individual doesn't have a great deal of latitude in the way they behave. It's like, and I suppose this is a cliche now, but it's like somebody in a wheelchair being asked to walk just because they have legs. So if you sort of think of it in those terms, you'll realise that there are certain things that we shouldn't expect people with FASD to do, and if we do expect them to do it, we're all going to be disappointed, and it's going to make it harder for the individual. So when you think about what to expect from somebody with FASD, you need to think younger. Think a lot younger, even think intellectual disability. Just don't expect what you would expect from somebody without a brain injury. Remember, it's an organic brain injury. That means it's a physical injury to the individual. The next thing is environment, the environment of the individual. So if, like I had my bedrooms, or the bedrooms of my children were full of posters, full of stimulation, lots of toys, lots of posters on the walls, that's not appropriate for somebody with FAS. It's too much stimulation, too much input. So everything off the walls, anything that's not being used gets covered up. The least amount of distractions, I guess. So for instance, windows can be covered up completely with I used to use alfoil, not for that reason, but because we were living in a very hot climate, and the sun coming through the window made the rooms a lot hotter. So I used to put alfoil on the windows. Well, that was good for my kids because it reduced the distraction from outside, but obviously I didn't do it for that reason. The next thing is transitions. Children with FASD find transitioning from one task to another very difficult. So for instance, my kids were, playing Lego or whatever they, used to do, and then all of a sudden I'd say, okay, let's go to the shops. Well, that's not helpful at all, and it creates a lot of disturbance for the individual. And of course, once we get to the shops, the kids used to start playing up because I didn't manage that transition well. So what I should have done was sort of 10 minutes before, just let them know that shortly we'll be going to the shops. Even better is to work out with your child how you're going to make them aware that a transition is coming up. If your child is of school age, it would be really good to have the support of the teacher so that you can have the same sort of transition alert. Like it might be a bell, it might be a a sound or a bit of music or something like that, so that at least there's structure across home and school. The next one is medication, and as far as I'm concerned, medication is absolutely crucial. Medicate for symptoms. There's no medication as such for FASD, but if the individual has a mental health problem, then medicate for mental health. Always be aware that with FASD there could be the opposite effect to what you're expecting. So if, for instance, if you're medicating with a sedative, then it might have the opposite effect on somebody with FASD. Medication is crucial. Medication, it's really important. Without that, my son would be in prison or wouldn't be here. He's on an antipsychotic called Zyprexa, and that means that he has at least the chance of living a normal life. Without that, he becomes violent, aggressive, angry, withdrawn, all sorts of things that are counterproductive to having a healthy family environment for his children. And the last thing is role models. Role modelling behaviour. I don't know whether viewers have heard about FASD or learned about FASD before, but it's a common thing to call people with FASD moral chameleons, and that means that they take on the values of whoever is around them role modelling that behaviour. So if they're role modelled good value and ethics behaviour, that's hopefully what they will take on. If they're in an environment where there's the opposite, then they'll take that on. So it's really important in the child's life to have role models that are going to be role modelling the good behaviour, or the behaviour that you want to see in the child or the teenager. And of course, you know, once they get up to that teenager age, there's just no telling who they're going to come in contact with. So it's important that, you know, you do your best to have as many areas as possible covered with that good role modelling behaviour. I hope that's helped. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope that everything works out for you. If you need any more information on FASD, our RFF-ADO website is http://rffada.org, or we've got a page on Facebook that's used for parents and carers to try and get ideas from each other. Anyway, if you need anything, my email address is elizabeth@rffada.org. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.